Okay, so we all hear it every now and then, people saying that the rich don't pay their fair share. I'm just going to, first of all, say that what you should ask them is, well, who's rich and what's fair? And get specific numbers out of them, because that's what I want to get into here. I want to get into the specific numbers, and then we'll see what people think is actually fair or not. So let's get into this. Let's check this out. So first of all, I made a spreadsheet here that shows the different amounts that the government brings in. And what we do is we break down these giant billions of dollars, and we break them down into, 525 billion is $525, right? So we can kind of see what this looks like. But first, let's talk about who's rich and who's not in this country. So what we're really going to be focusing on here is really this group that's 130,000 or over. That I would consider those people to be wealthy. And then once you're over $450,000 a year in annual income, you're really in the top 1% there. And so we'll focus on kind of this top 10%, at least in this first part, as we take a look at this. So the question is, where does the government get its money? And what you're going to notice, it comes from income taxes, which are paid overwhelmingly by that top 10%. Okay. As you break this down. Now, as we come down here, I want to show some other areas where this top kind of two groups, the rich and uber rich, kind of what they pay as well. Remember, they own the businesses. When you pay your payroll taxes for Social Security and Medicare, you're not the only one paying for that. You're only paying half. The other half comes from your employer, and your employer generally is part of that group. So the rich and the, uber rich or upper middle class type people, these generally are the people who are paying the vast majority of the employer portion of payroll taxes. Everybody does pay the employee portion. However, keep in mind that the people that are making higher incomes as employees also are the ones who are paying a larger share. And that doesn't mean you're going to get a ton more in your Social Security. Social Security and Medicare benefit everyone pretty equally. There's a little bit of discrepancy, but it's not much. Okay? So again, overwhelmingly, excise taxes. Well, excise taxes are like sales taxes and stuff, or like selling a house or something, capital gains, things like that. Those are also usually being paid by the rich. The corporate income taxes. Well, who owns the corporations? Usually it's the rich. It's the people in the upper end. So as we can see here, in almost every single category, it's people that are in the upper classes that are paying for it, with very little exceptions here. I mean, when it comes to income tax, look at this. Out of the $1,400 that comes in, only about $45 comes from the lower, or the lower 50% when it comes to income taxes. Okay, the lower 50% essentially don't pay income taxes. All right, now let's take a look at who benefits from that money. Well, in some of these, it's everyone. As we already talked about, Social Security and Medicare are, the poor people don't put as much in as the upper class did, but they do get, the same out. So everyone, and maybe that's fair, fine. Defense, everyone benefits for. But, let's get into Medicaid and welfare. Medicaid is, health insurance for people that are really poor, which, maybe we need. And welfare, well, look at what they're benefiting. I mean, we're talking about $928 here that they're benefiting on those two kind of welfare type programs. And how much are they actually contributing, like in income taxes here? $45 is what they pitched in, and then they're taking out $900 or more. I mean, it's crazy. So anyway, you can look this over. It'll give you some more detail on it. Some of these numbers may not be perfect, but the general idea behind them is right. Some of these may be off slightly, but I have sources here that give you an idea of where they came from. But I mean, here's the deal. I would think that if a group made half the income in the country, they would be responsible for half of the taxes. But that's not the way that it works. The top 20% of Americans, let's call them the wealthy, the upper group, and I believe that's probably people making over $100,000 a year, maybe close to $100,000 a year in total household income. That group makes about half of the income in the country, 52% of the income. So you think, half of the taxes, that's probably what they should pay. They pay 87%. They pay all the taxes except for a measly 13%, which is paid from other people. Okay? So nearly all the tax income for income taxes that is coming through from the rich. Okay? It's insane. Okay? It's not like, okay, you get half the income and pay half the taxes. You get half the income and you have to pay almost all of the taxes. Thomas Sowell's one of my favorites. He's one of my heroes. He said, "What exactly is your fair share of what someone else has worked for. And he also says, I've never understood why it's greed to want to keep the money that you have earned, but it's not greed to want to take someone else's money. And just keep in mind, this is sharing. You have money, you give it to someone else. And you know what? That person's probably very grateful to you for doing that. This is theft, okay? The government goes and says, hey, you're going to give this person money, and then they give money. And guess who this person is thankful to? They're not thankful to you, as in scenario 1. They're thankful to the government. And they're dependent on the government, and they want that government to go and point that gun at as many people as they can, whether they want to pay or not. Their thing is, you need to redistribute the wealth. And we're going to do it. And if you don't want to participate in this redistribution voluntarily, we will do it by force. And if you don't pay, we will send guys with guns to your house and lock you up in a cage if you don't comply. So just keep that in mind when people are talking about taxation. The rich ultimately pay more than their fair share, okay? They're already paying more than their fair share. I mean, what do we want? 90%, 95%, 99% is what they should pay? It's madness. And don't let anyone get away with saying that they don't pay their fair share without giving you specific criteria for who the rich are and what fair is.